Welcome to my channel, Musing Light. I'm Marvin. This video is a continuation to my previous video where I talked about the meaning of oil in the Bible. You can check it out right here. I'm going to talk about how your testimony is also prophecy, which is one of the things I discussed about in the previous video. The passages you can refer to are the following: Revelation 11:3-7, and I will give power to my 2 witnesses, and they will prophesy 1,260 days, clothed in sackcloth. These are the 2 olive trees and the 2 lampstands standing before the God of the earth. And if anyone wants to harm them, fire proceeds from their mouth and devours their enemies. And if anyone wants to harm them, he must be killed in this manner. These have power to shut heaven, so that no rain falls in the days of their prophecy, and they have power over waters to turn them to blood, and to strike the earth with all plagues, as often as they desire. When they finish their testimony, the beast that ascends out of the bottomless pit will make war against them, overcome them, and kill them. Notice that in verse 6, their message is called prophecy, but in verse 7 the prophecy is called testimony. Revelation 19:10, the testimony of Jesus is the spirit of prophecy. I mentioned in the other video that another word for spirit is essence. So, the testimony of Jesus can be said to be the essence of prophecy. 1 Peter 1:10-11, of this salvation the prophets have inquired and searched carefully, who prophesied of the grace that would come to you, searching what manner of time, the Spirit of Christ who was in them was indicating when he testified beforehand the sufferings of Christ and the glories that would follow. Pay attention how in verse 11, it says that the Spirit of Christ testified through the prophets of old. Even Jesus said in the Gospels that those prophets testified of him. Now, many cessationist Christians or those who like to criticize and attack other ministers' revelations and experiences love to point out that the ministers just make up stuff to deceive people or to garner attention for themselves. While I don't deny that it can happen, it does not mean that every person that has a spiritual experience with God or angels, or the spirit realm is sharing the experience or revelation for fame and recognition. Their experiences and revelations are part of their testimony because they heard or saw something that came from God. The intent of such an experience is for the benefit of the body of Christ, to edify it or to correct something that the Lord is not pleased with. The people who receive the experiences, revelations or messages are technically witnesses because they saw and/or heard. Regardless of people who argue that prophets in the Old Testament saw with their physical eyes, whether the experience was in a dream, an open vision or a closed vision, God counts it as real. So, in God's eyes, they are still witnesses. 1 Corinthians 14:3, but he who prophesies speaks edification and exhortation and comfort to men. 1 Corinthians 14:26, how is it then, brethren? Whenever you come together, each of you has a psalm, has a teaching, has a tongue, has a revelation, has an interpretation. Let all things be done for edification. Ephesians 4:11-12, and he himself gave some to be apostles, some prophets, some evangelists, and some pastors and teachers, for the equipping of the saints for the work of ministry, for the edifying of the body of Christ, till we all come to the unity of the faith and of the knowledge of the Son of God, to a perfect man, to the measure of the stature of the fullness of Christ. In the above passages you see that the intent of God is to edify the global church until it reaches maturity. If you have an experience with God where you receive revelation, it is important for it to be shared eventually so that the body can benefit. Revelation usually expands the knowledge of God in the church. It takes people out of ignorance. Some of the revelations include mysteries of the spirit realm, creation, God, or the way Satan's kingdom operates. Much of the criticism of what I call Pharisaical Christians stems from ignorance and wrong beliefs. I call them Pharisaical Christians because their attitude is just like the Pharisees. They are also known as heresy hunters. They are always on the lookout to find fault with ministers that they set their eyes on. Citing mainly that Revelation is not mentioned in the Bible. But if you look around you, and you are honest with yourselves, you will find that not everything in existence is mentioned in the Bible. Testimonies are important as well because they also encourage others, enlighten others, they can feed people's faith, they can strengthen others as they are going through a tough time. And this is why testimonies are also prophecy and oil, as I mentioned in the previous video. Because it's fuel that intensifies or keeps the fire in the people's hearts burning. Fuel is energy and life is also energy. So, prophecy gives life as well. In another video I will talk about the life of God. I hope that this video has been of benefit to all who watched and listened. See you all next time. Don't forget to like and subscribe.